Hello, and today I'm delighted to welcome onto the Game of Loans podcast, Vicki Peers. Hi, Vicki, how are you doing?
Hi, Sam. I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Now, Vicki, you're, as I've only just found out, an ex-teacher, and obviously you've delved now into the world of property, becoming an investor in your own right, but now have kind of gone almost full circle in the fact that you're now imparting your knowledge on others. So give us a bit of background on yourself, if that's okay, Vicki.
Yeah, of course. I'm a fully qualified secondary English and media studies teacher, which I kind of fell into anyway because I didn't know what else to do. And if you don't know what to do, you teach, apparently. And I was pretty good at it. I was there about 9.5 years or so. And yeah, we always had properties in the background. We'd experienced the crash 2007 and 8. And the gorgeous luxury apartment that we bought ourselves in the city centre of Liverpool suddenly was massively undervalued when all of that happened. So I'd continued to be a teacher, and then we'd always had these kinds of buy-to-lets in the background, mainly because the first one we couldn't sell. Well, we could if we were prepared to take 25% loss. So we put some tenants in. Tenants were good, very good, and they probably treated us better than a lot of tenants we've had since. And they kind of allowed us the confidence to go off and build some more. And so although I was still teaching full time, obviously squirreling money away and trying to put some money aside for the future, really. My dad was a builder. Michael's dad was a builder as well. So we had a lot of kind of hands-on experience as well between ourselves and them. And it kind of snowballed from there. But we escaped the day job and everything as it was because my dad's had a brain hemorrhage. So I was pregnant. That was going to be my escape from teaching. I got pregnant. That was the first thing.
One way of doing it.
That was one thing. I don't advise it. It's really quite hard work having babies. And unfortunately, my dad had a brain hemorrhage when Belle was only 11 weeks old. So that whole kind of maternity became a lot longer than it should have been. And obviously, in the end, I ended up leaving teaching partly because of that, partly because of having so much time off, I suppose. Finds it really difficult then to suddenly go back to a 9 to 5 or a 8 till 8, which is what teaching actually is.
Yeah.
And yeah, that kind of background has stayed with us because we've obviously continued to build our property portfolio. We kind of moved into being a bit more professional about it, I suppose is the word, in 2016, when we really got educated, went on a ton of property courses, understood all the fundamentals of investing, reflected back on what we'd done badly in the past, because we had a few buy-to-lets that didn't necessarily, we've got one now still that only brings in £10 a month, for God's sake.
Oh, wow.
But it's got sentimental value. I know, it's got sentimental value. And it is on a capital repayment mortgage, so I should have said £10 a month profit, and obviously it's capital repayment as well.
That's all right then, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be fine. I mean, we're down to, I think we've only got 10 years left on that mortgage, so we might as well plough on now, mightn't we? And that kind of came full circle, exactly like you said, because education has always been really crucial to everything that I've done. And obviously I've got a small person who I educate every single day. Whether she listens or not is a different matter. And now we're helping investors. Yeah, we're educating investors about Liverpool predominantly. I don't profess to be, this big developer. I'm not building high-rise apartments and £1 million developments, but we do really quite well with our little 2 and 3 bedroom terraced houses, and we've kind of helped, hundreds now of investors to do a similar thing to what we've been doing, building that kind of foundation portfolio, I suppose you'd call it, of loads of really good cash flow and single buy-to-lets.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think so many people, especially I get so many clients that come to me and they've got these huge aspirations to be, I want to own care homes one day, and I want to own huge super HMOs, and I want to do, I want to build a block of SA apartments, and actually single buy-to-lets are pretty decent and actually can be a great passive income generator. I know the phrase passive income isn't particularly liked because that means that you literally do nothing. But actually, if you compare the work that you would have to do on a portfolio of 10 single buy-to-lets that are managed by a management company to, running a serviced accommodation block, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
100%, yeah. So one of the things I always talk to investors about straight away is that, like, what do they want to achieve? Because if you want to leave your day job and become full-time in property and literally be full-time, then that's great. But if you don't, and you want to just, you know, sip margaritas somewhere on a lovely island,
sounds good to me.
It does. It's a very different portfolio you need to create for yourselves. Yeah, and I think the thing about the HMOs and everything, even if they're managed, there's still a lot more decisions that need to be made, and there's different headaches that come with those. So yeah, I think they are fairly passive, the single buy-to-lets, as best as they can be.
Yeah, and it sounds like as well that you're almost kind of a bit of an accidental landlord to start with. You were kind of forced into that situation. This what I've been discovering recently is that there's actually so many more of these types of people out there than I'd ever realized. I was having a conversation with an accountant that was doing a lot of analysis of landlords around the country, and actually found out that the vast majority of property that's owned by landlords is owned by actually quite a small minority, and that the vast majority of landlords actually only own 2 to 3 properties, and have done that really just kind of almost by accident because they've inherited those. But you've taken it obviously to the next level, where you mentioned something I think was really important, which was, you said we professionalized what we did. And unfortunately, would you say that probably there's quite a lot of people out there that haven't necessarily done that, and maybe they're the ones that are maybe getting themselves into a little bit of trouble nowadays?
The thing is, Sam, it's like free advice is worth every penny, isn't it? And the issue that we had, because we built up a small buy-to-let portfolio, completely not knowing what we were doing. We basically squirreled some money away, went to the auctions, bought something cheap. And it was only really when we kind of figured out what the hell we were doing that I look back and I was like, Jesus Christ, if I knew then what I know now, there's no way I'd have bought any of those things. And we had loads of issues with finance over different properties. So didn't know enough about the mortgage system and what you could and couldn't do and how all that worked. And obviously by 2013, I was self-employed, so that brought a whole loads of other problems with it in terms of finance. Liverpool has always had fairly depressed valuations in certain parts of the city. They seem to be the places we bought properties, and every mistake you could possibly make, we'd made. And so in 2016, I was like, right, let's do this properly, because I did a degree to become a teacher. Why am I just trying to throw cash at this thing that doesn't seem to be working very well? So I threw cash in different ways. So I bought loads of courses, bought loads of online courses, attended loads of face-to-face events, because there was no way that anyone kind of sat you down and said, these are the steps to creating a perfect property portfolio. So you end up throwing thousands and thousands of various different courses and not really getting the full jigsaw. There was always pieces missing, so you seem to need to throw another 2,000, another 3,000, but it's all right, you can make it on a payment plan and all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, that's funny, that because that's what we were talking about off air a little bit is, you know, there have been certain people, we won't necessarily mention names, that have been, I guess, kind of hammered in the property education industry, I guess you would call it. I don't know if there is an industry yet. For doing that kind of exact thing, where you know, they don't necessarily have the credentials. Pardon me. They don't necessarily. They're very sales focused. You know, they will dress things up to be maybe a bit more realistic, or less realistic than they are in terms of how easy they are to achieve, and then they'll be quite pushy in terms of, right, buy this course, then you got to buy the next course, then you're going to buy the next course. And you know, what I like about, you know, you and what you do, and having, you know, checked out your website and looking at all the stuff that you kind of doing, is you don't get that feeling from what you're doing at all. And I do you feel a little bit like, with what's been reported in the media recently, with that part of the industry, that everyone's kind of being tarnished with the same brush just because there are a few of these rogue companies out there?
Yeah and no. So the issue that we do have is, so like looking back, I wouldn't like to even total up. If my husband knew how much money I'd spent on education, he'd probably divorce me. Several deposits off houses, put it that way. But I don't regret any of those things, because, like we've just been talking about off air, that whole, it's like a layered approach. So actually some of the stuff that I learned then at the time was totally inappropriate. I shouldn't have been on that course. It didn't suit what we were trying to do. But now my business has evolved and I'm doing different things. Actually, that knowledge has come to serve me now. It was at the wrong time. That was the most important thing. And so the one thing that we've tried to take away from that is, I kind of explained to some of the investors, as you're on this journey of trying to create whatever it is, a portfolio of whatever. You want to create financial freedom, security, whatever it is you're trying to get to. So the end point for that like bush journey as it is the same. And you're going to come to me and I'm going to help you to learn about Liverpool, but I'm going to do it in a way that suits you, because actually, if you've already got knowledge in certain areas, I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's not my job to tell you how to set up a HMO or how, you know, the finance works on this, because there's professionals to do those things. So what we try to offer is a more tailored service, in as much as we offer 3 or 4 different things, and it's up to you to decide which suits you best. And I was talking to Emma, who's my personal assistant, last week about this, and we've got real issues with people who don't achieve what they wanted to, and that doesn't sit well with me, because they're not good advocates for my business. And when we've looked back and maybe analysed that, it's because people have bought things thinking they were going to get this magic pill, silver bullet, whatever you want to call it. This is the answer to my problems. And actually it wasn't. It was just another course. It was another bit of learning that you didn't need to do at that time. And so what we've talked about is how we need to spend more time nurturing those people at the front end. So because we have people just land on the website and they just buy stuff off the website straight away, and you're like, I've never had a discussion with this person. And that being said, I don't want to sit and have an hour's consultation with every single person, but that hour's consultation, because there's only so many hours in the day, but that hour's consultation should make it really clear to me what you want to achieve. And when we know what you want to achieve, I'm dead happy to say, that's not for you. Like, stop buying that, because that's not for you. So like, we have a how to source course, for example. And it's like a video series, and there's downloads and stuff to learn how to source your own properties. But if you've never even placed an offer with an estate agent yet, don't be buying that. That's mental. That's like, yeah, I'll make some cash out of it, but actually you'll go and talk badly about me behind my back, and you'll tell people that, you know, I wasted your money and things like that. And that's not good for business at all. So
yeah, it's them that's kind of they've chosen the wrong learning material.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and I did it because, like I said, I spent tens and tens of thousands of pounds buying the wrong information, and actually the right information was probably out there, but I wanted the quick fix. I wanted the let's race to the end. And I think that's what people don't appreciate, the fact that they think they can throw money at problems and it'll fix the problem, but actually a lot of the thing is time and patience and consistent kind of action. Because until you've tried to, you know, until you've walked those streets and done those viewings and gone into letting agents and gone into estate agents and done all those things and spoken to vendors, even just on viewings through Purple Bricks or something, you're never going to have the confidence to go and source stuff for yourself. So don't jump in at that end. That's madness. And so we've tried our hardest to not, I mean, I'm not salesy. Like, I'm the world's worst person. Honestly, I really am in terms of sales, because my background's in education. For me, I just want to keep giving value to people. So I'm like, if someone buys something, I'm like, have this, have all this stuff.
I've been exactly the same recently. I was saying to you off air that obviously I've now taken this opportunity to try and help some people in property with their social media, because, you know, I seem to be doing pretty well with it. But again, I'm the same. I'm speaking to those people, I'm consulting with them, and then I'm going, oh, by the way, I've written up this this thing about how to set up a LinkedIn page. Here you go, you know, and you just you just give it to them. I know.
But I think that's a core thing, and that's where I think the property education world is missing, because they get onto, they build a business on profits because they have to, because that's how businesses work, obviously. But then they get used to those profits. So for us, our portfolio is the thing that keeps me afloat. If I did nothing more today, my single buy-to-let will keep me quite comfortable. And we could literally just stay at home and self-isolate for the next many years if we wanted to. And the most I have to do is manage tenants and get some rent in. So the sales and the kind of the education stuff that comes on the back of that, there is obviously profit being made, definitely, because it's a business, but there's also a bit of fulfillment for me about still being able to educate, still being able to do those things to help people. And I think that's where some of the companies went in the wrong direction. They got actors on stage, they got salespeople on stage, and there wasn't necessarily that connection with people. They'd kind of lost track of the individuals in the audience. They were talking to a mass audience. So
yeah, do you know, it's funny you pick up on that point. It's really, really vital. I was just talking to somebody earlier on about this, and they were saying to me about, you know, you've mentioned you said the word value quite a lot, and I like to think that I give value when I'm doing videos on YouTube or whatever it might be. And I think what you just said is so relevant. When I'm doing a YouTube video, I am talking to one person. I am thinking about a client of mine that has asked me a specific question, and I'm answering that question for them. And I'm not thinking about, 20, 30, 40 people that might watch that video. I'm thinking, right, I'm talking to that one person. And I think that's something that's so lost in this world of property education. It's almost like, let's pack as many people into this room as possible. Let's get them all geared up and excited, like they're at some kind of rock concert. And then we'll sell to them. And that's it. And there was something else actually that you mentioned earlier, and it was about how, you want people to be successful. And I was thinking about that in my business. I want my clients to be successful because first and foremost, I feel like if they're not, then I have some kind of responsibility for that. But also, if all my clients are really successful, then number one, people are going to ask them how they got successful, and they're going to say Sam was a part of that. They're also going to get more successful, and they're going to continue doing it, and they're going to continue working for me. So I get a long-term relationship, and I obviously get the satisfaction that they've done well. And I like the fact that I've helped people. So yeah, it was interesting that point that you made. And I think, we were mentioning about like giving freebies out and all that kind of stuff. And you're absolutely right. If that was a more structured, traditional property educational kind of environment, every single tiny thing that you take away seems to be, paid for in some way, shape or form. It's not just a case of, right, you're paying us X. And so everything within us getting you from A on that bus ride that you said to B, and B is where you want to be, where B is successful. We're just going to do everything that we possibly can now for as long a period of time as it takes to get you there. I think that seems to be a big difference.
And this is it, because I don't want, because like in our masterminds, I was looking at this the other day. On average, people stay 6 months. I don't really want you to stay longer than 6 months, because otherwise you're just hanging around with me. And you know what? I've got loads of friends. I'm sure you've got loads of friends. This is obviously there's the social element to it, but there's got to be an outcome. You kind of need to come, learn, listen, do, go off and achieve. And at the end of those 6 months, you obviously provide an amazing testimonial for us, and that makes us feel really good as well. And I'm really passionate about getting as many people out of those crappy jobs that they have, because I was the same. I was going to probably shouldn't say this in case any of my former colleagues are listening, but to the point where I was driving to work some days and just thinking, if I had a little car accident, I could get like 6 weeks off school if I just broke my leg. And if you ever get to that point in your life, that's incredibly upsetting. And we tend to get people who have got some reason, some motivation, some push, some a reason why they want to create this portfolio. And so to that end, I want them to do it properly. I want them to have those foundations, and we push single buy-to-lets all the time to the majority of them. I will obviously help you with HMOs and serviced accommodation, but get yourself 8 or 10 single buy-to-lets, and they will give you that freedom so that you don't have to drive to work to think, I hate this job. And then you can still carry on your job if you want to as well, because they're single buy-to-lets and they don't require a lot of work. So
that's it.
It's about getting everything. It's about getting everything right, because they feed us and we feed them. So yeah, they pay us to learn, but we feed off their successes and their and also their energy as well to a certain extent, because I've been self-isolating. I'm on day 14, and I was really Sunday was a really difficult day for me. And I had a couple of Zoom calls with different clients. I did a video for the mastermind because I had to show up, because I had to be there to do the thing. And that forces me to get up and be a bit better as well, and be more proactive and stuff. So a bit of accountability as well, I suppose, for us.
So I was actually going to ask you, I was going to say, obviously we're recording this, hopefully at the peak of the isolation and the lockdown. Who knows how long it's going to be going on for, but how has that kind of affected what you're doing? Because I get the feeling from you that a lot of the stuff, you like to be doing things in person. Yes, of course, there's masterminds and there's online, course material and all that sort of stuff. But, ideally, you like to do things face to face. What kind of impact is that actually having on your business? And do you find that actually having the kind of this technology has actually benefited you in terms of you can utilize it more going forward? Or do you really think that you'd prefer to go back to the more sort of face to face meetings and things like that in the future?
I think it's been, for me personally, a lot of the business is online anyway, so it hasn't had a massive impact. The biggest part, obviously, we do some deal packaging, we do some sourcing, so we've not been able, that whole thing's just fell off a cliff at the moment, and we can't get out to do viewings, we can't, the solicitors, wow, solicitors, I thought, we already knew that some of them are in the Stone Ages, but some of them have just like completely stopped. Yeah. So the whole chain logistically has broken down, so that's fell off a cliff. And so the only impact that it had from like the investment, like the education side of things really is, I think people took their foot off the pedal because they thought, well, can't get out to do viewing, so there's not really much point in learning this stuff because I can't get out and do stuff. And our whole point has been, take this time to do the education, because actually once the lockdown completes, when the gates are opened, whatever it is, there's going to be so many more investors who've got all that pent-up desire to spend money on properties and things. So it hasn't changed an awful lot. I think what will happen is I've found it quite lonely. And although a lot of my stuff is online, yeah, we do go out and do viewings. We do, deal with tenants. We do deal with builders and contracts and things, and that's made a difference. And I work from home anyway now, so having two other people in the house doesn't make things easier.
It's actually getting in your way.
Yeah, I should be doing loads of work, but I did a video on this the other day. I'm not working from home, I'm at home and I'm trying to work. And I've got a husband and I've got a 6-year-old, nearly 7, who he's an amazing childminder. He's like the funnest person to be around, but I have to play referee and I have to play mum and I have to play cleaner and all those extra things, so that's hard. But the biggest issue that we've had from a logistical point of view is project management as well, because we've got a property that's on a bridge, which at the moment is, we've basically just had one guy, that they've been doing shifts between them, so we've only ever had one guy on site, and trying to manage, and we've been self-isolating, so we can't check up on them, and we're the project managers, so you're relying on photographs and videos from tradespeople who haven't got the technical capability sometimes to even take a photograph.
Oh, God.
And trying to project manage that's been hard. And I think that, but on the plus side, it's forced us to step away from that business a little bit and try and outsource more and, and maybe we were too invested in that side of the business. Maybe we were too involved, and this has been a chance to kind of realign our values, because he's had an amazing time the last 2 days with the 7-year-old, because they've reconnected again and he's had so much time off, whereas
he's just getting in your way.
Don't let him hear you say that.
So it's funny you were saying about the kind of the automation and think time to think about systems. Actually, we're trying to work out a time at the moment, but I've got Ben Nichols coming on the podcast at some time in the future, and Ben is he's part of the Partners in Property network that I present with, and he is like an automation and systems just genius as far as I'm concerned. So I when all this started to happen, I was like, I need to get Ben on for exactly the reasons you just said. People have got time to work on their business rather than in their business, and I think there's a really clear distinction on that, and I think that's where a lot of people actually in property in particular kind of fall down, because they forget that actually by going and doing viewings and being project managers and doing all of this kind of stuff, if you're trying to fill rooms yourself, being an agent effectively, all of this kind of stuff actually is working in your business, whereas working on your business, you're strategizing and you're looking down, 2 steps down the road, 3 years down the road, where are you going to be, what do you want to do, and creating it now is the time where you can create that kind of automation. You can work with, I know you've got Emma as your, she's a VA, and you know more than most about how helpful that can be to your business. So I imagine you believe what I believe, that now's a great time to actually be working on your business whilst you can't work in it.
Yeah, because the phones have stopped, and that's the biggest time drain. The phones have stopped and the emails have stopped, and they're the things that very easily you can lose 2 hours of your day every single day doing. So but I think it's also about getting that balance as well, about a business that works for you, because I think there's an awful lot of talk around what you should be doing during this time. And I was talking to you earlier, wasn't I? Like, my day starts at 11, and anyone that knows me knows that I work till 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not being lazy. I just shift my day till a bit later. And I log on a Monday at 11 o'clock and the sweat starts pouring because I'm like, there's like 6 or 7 Zoom calls I've missed and I should have been on, and all these emails and things. And then actually, when I really look around, like my business is still ticking over and I'm not on 47 million Zoom calls. And actually the people who are doing that, I think they get so used to being busy. It's busy work, isn't it? Doing all those things, looking good as well on social media.
Yeah.
Look, I'm on a Zoom call and that's all LinkedIn is.
Oh, I'm probably the worst for it. But the thing is, I'm recording and doing stuff and saying that, but I actually am. You know, I'm doing that stuff. I never try and, you know, create an image of myself that isn't real.
And that's exactly it, isn't it? It's doing the stuff that helps your business, not doing the stuff that makes you look like you're surviving or, you know, whatever message you try.
It's funny, something that you just mentioned earlier about getting on at like 11 o'clock and then going, oh, I've missed all these emails and calls and whatnot. But I don't know if you ever read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
I haven't. I still haven't got round to reading it because my Audible to-do list is
that's probably a book to actually read old school, actually have the book, because there's stuff in there to work through. But there's one of the things that he talks about in there is actually the fact that what people don't realize is that if they did just switch off for 2 days for whatever reason, chances are the world would not end. Yep. But we've got so used to, as a society, haven't we, going, oh my God, I need to be at the office at 8 because I need to catch up with my emails for the weekend. Well, if you didn't catch up with your emails for the weekend, nothing would happen. And I'm not saying to all my clients that are listening to this that I'm not responding to your emails, of course. But, you know, I got to the point where I was spending so long every day listening to voicemails because I spend a lot of my time during the day on the phone anyway, as I'm sure you do as well, as you've just mentioned. And then what happens is I get off a call for like I've been on for an hour and I've got 3 voice messages, and then I need to listen to those and I need to figure out how to respond. So one of the things in the book he mentioned is, well, just tell people on your voicemail that you're not going to listen to it.
That's what my voicemail says. It says, don't leave a voicemail because I won't reply.
Yeah, and that's what mine said, although my boss told me off for doing that. So I had to manipulate it slightly, but it still pretty much says I'm not going to listen to it. So the best thing to do is email me or text me. And actually texting me is the best thing, because what I can then do is, even if I'm on a call, because I've always got my headphones in, I see a text message that comes through. So if I'm on a call with someone else, I can quickly text you back, say I'm just on a call, I'll call you back. And that actually for me is better communication. But so that's 2 things really. The number one is that not to forget that the world won't fall apart if you spend less time replying to emails, and also that you know, by doing certain things, actually you can improve your communication by doing things in a slightly different way to what you used to.
The thing is though, Sam, this is it. So I was talking to a couple of investors. I think it was the end of the first week of kind of like all of this pandemic, and they were all panicking. And obviously there was talk on the news about people not potentially paying their rent and doing different things. And I had a couple of like Zoom calls with these investors who were kind of doing this. They were panicking and worrying, but they were so panicking and worrying that they weren't actually doing anything constructive. So they just had that kind of like mindset. And I ended up doing exactly like you said before. I did some social media videos about the only thing you need to do right at this moment in time is chase cash, because cash is the lifeline to your business. So if you've got a portfolio, go and chase the rent. Tell the tenants how to make claims with universal credit, explain to them what they can say to their employers, send them some links to the government website, and be proactive. And don't look at your emails, and don't look at your WhatsApp messages, and don't look at social media and all those other places, because it's so overwhelming, everything that's happening now. And actually, exactly like you said, nothing's going to happen if you don't, like, no one's going to die if you don't read their emails. In fact, and I probably shouldn't say this now and again, I just delete all my emails. I'm like, gone, because there's too many.
I wish that I could do that. I've got such an OCD with my emails. Do you know, this is how sad it is. I love using TikTok, which is like a new social media platform. I know it's for children. Yes, I know it's for children, but I love it so much. And I posted a video on there. I was like, I must have been like delusional or something, because I was like, it was late at night and I've been working all day, so I was probably in some sort of weird half coma. But I did a video about me being knackered in the office at 9 o'clock at night, and I couldn't leave until my inbox was empty. And that is literally one of my highest watched videos on TikTok, of me coping with my OCD of trying to get I had like 1,000 in my inbox, which is
This is it.
unprecedented. I have to leave with 0 because it allows me to be clear for the next day. And
So,
I was like, right, I'm not going to leave this office until it's down to 0.
so that's one of the things that I like, because my whole mission in this whole thing about trying to educate people about property is actually not really about property as such. It's about how to create a business out of property and not do it as a hobby, not do it as like a little side hustle where you just give it, 10% of your attention. And one of the things was about setting it up like a business. So get yourselves a VA, get yourselves a PA, get yourselves, outsource your marketing, do all those things that you would normally do for a normal business. And one of the first things that people ask us all the time is, well, what do VAs do? In my world, the VAs do everything. I've got Emma, who's amazing. And if she left me, I'd probably be more upset than if Michael left me, but maybe different. And we've also got a VA, Mark, from the Philippines, who we've had for about 10 months, and he is phenomenal. So those two people, I say I delete my emails, I do, but that's because of the people like look after stuff as well. So delegating those kinds of things out, because you don't have to answer everything. So I don't reply to any of my tenants ever, because that's not really my job to do. And if I do reply to a tenant, it's usually because it's quite there's something quite specific that a normal letting agent or whatever wouldn't be able to respond to. And the same with the business. It's about creating a business that you want and outsourcing the things that you don't. So if you don't reply to an email, the chances are they'll just email you again in 3 or 4 days to remind you. And that's their priorities, not your priorities. And this is the thing about, I worry that so many people are on all of these property courses and they're on Facebook and LinkedIn and social media and they're watching stuff and like, oh, he's done 20 viewings this weekend and I haven't done any this weekend. And then they're putting so much pressure on themselves. And I hardly view anything. I view purposefully. I don't just go and view 20 properties because I can. And yet you guys are traveling, like most of our investors are from down south. These people are traveling like 3 or 4 hours on a train to just do 10 or 12 back-to-back viewings every weekend for months at a time.
It's almost like they're doing it for the sake of it because they feel as though that justifies. They're feeling busy when it's better that they're actually efficient rather than busy.
And it is. And actually, if you spent more time, so people say don't do all your due diligence until you view the property. I'm like, don't bother viewing the property because actually you probably live 3 hours away on a train. And now, even more so now, because you can't go on and view those properties. So like when we do our direct to vendor stuff, it's targeted letters. I don't send out 500 letters. We don't do it on volume. We do it on, I want that house and I'm going after that house like a dog, like a dog with a bone. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, even if we don't get the house, we get communication from that vendor, just from sheer persistency more than anything else, probably. Whereas if we just did a blanket 500 letters and then another blanket, again, talking to that one person, specifically that one vendor, not 500 of the people in the locality, because, and maybe that doesn't satisfy everybody's business model, but it works really well for us because
that's really key, I think, for so many different things, just in different facets of business anyway. One of the things I talk to people about with social media in particular is, I'm very, what I kind of teach and what I've presented about has been how to generate leads through social media. Now, generating leads for one person to another means 2 very different things in terms of volume. And what I've noticed is that I don't have the most followers or fans or whatever you want to say than loads of people, sometimes even people that I'm teaching or mentoring. But the difference is that I'm very, very strategic. And the people that do follow me because I'm giving them something really, really relevant. And so the level of penetration, for want of a better word, from those people that actually follow me, that I'm engaging with on a regular basis, the people that actually end up working with me is really high.
They're more engaged.
Exactly.
More engaged and they're better quality leads.
Exactly. And actually, when you actually boil it down, if your business, say, for most people, they are property investors that I speak to, and you're a property investor, a lead is one of 2 things, money or a project. It's one of those 2 things. And there's always a person attached to that, and they're the people that you want to try and be engaging with. But ultimately, how many of those things can you cope with at any one time? And so if you have a following of 500, but 10 of those people potential, or you only need 10 leads for your business to really flourish, that's a really small percentage of 500. So why do you think that you need 100,000 followers on Instagram to be a successful property business? You don't. And that's exactly what you've just said. It's all about, and again, seems to be the key to this is efficiency in business. And now is a fantastic time to really drill down on that and get deep into what efficiency for your business really means, and making that
measuring
reality.
those. You need to measure those stats though as well, because we've looked at so we use something called lifetime client value. So for us, I don't need to sell you £3,000 property. In fact, I haven't even got a £3,000 property course. I don't need to sell that to you, because you will probably come and chat to us. Maybe you'll buy like a £99 Zoom call or something to start off with, and you just kind of figure out who's Vicky and what the hell is this all about. And then you'll go off and do your thing, and then you'll come back, and then you'll be like, oh, she's doing a masterclass and it's a full day event and it's £150 and it's 7 hours, and I'll have a little go at that. And there's no commitment from them. We're not signing them into any contracts, and then they disappear and they go and do their own thing. And then they'll come back and then they'll go, do you know what, I'm really struggling with a certain thing, so can I have another call, or can I join the mastermind? And then we probably will end up selling them a deal at some point. And now we've got the letting agency. The chances are then they say, well, you sold us this deal, you said it was a good house, can you manage it? And we go, yeah, of course you can. And so I don't need to sell £3,000 courses, because actually, and you're easier to sell to because you're already invested in us. And we know you really well, you know us really well, we know what you expect, you know what you're going to get from us, that kind of, and exactly like you said, like 10 leads, like if we had 10 really good clients, that's a million times better to us than 1,000 clients who just want to buy a 20, a £20 book or whatever it might be, because those people haven't given their time to us. And I think it's the time rather than the money that's important to us, because we get to know you better and we can work with you better and you can achieve and we can feel good, and it boosts our ego as well when our clients feel good and do what they need to do.
Well, I think this goes all the way back to what you were saying at the beginning about you want the people that you're working with to succeed. You want to get them on that bus from A to B. And in doing so, whether you're attempting to do it purposefully or not, you create huge value. And every time that you see that there's, a gap, you want to fill that. So you just mentioned there, you've helped them source property that they're going to rent. Well, you've got a lettings agent. So it's not necessarily that you're selling that service to them. You're saying, well, I've seen that, guess what? Loads of the people that we're helping need this. So why not create that? It's the whole reason I started doing the social media stuff and helping property investors with the social media, because so many of my clients, were coming to me with the same problems, which was I can't find enough projects, or I can't find any investors, and I can get them debt all day long. That's my day job. If I can't do that, then I'm a really crap broker. But what I was thinking was, well, how do I get leads? Because actually this person has come to me via social media. So I've obviously learned how to generate leads for myself through social media inadvertently. I don't do it for that reason. I think if you do go in for that reason, you're doomed to fail. And I think it comes across. But I can now show those clients how to achieve those two things, which ultimately then has a benefit to me as well. Because if they are getting more private investors and they are finding more sites, they're being more successful, they've got more deals they need to work on, they've got more work for me, and I've actually helped them get there as well. And it's just, of course, it's all about business and making money. That is as you said before, cash is king, and that's what you need to look after. But actually it's about finding a need and solving it. And that for me is the key.
And that's the other thing that we talk about in terms of like why people are building a portfolio. I think people need to remember that they're not, like that video that I did, Chase the Cash, is a bit crass saying it that way, but ultimately there's got to be a reason bigger than the cash, because property's really fucking hard, to be perfectly honest, and tenants will come at you with all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and look at the crisis at the moment. We've had tenants saying that they can't pay rent, and there's been different issues, and I look back at when I was teaching, I was like, I certainly wasn't teaching for the wage. There's got to be a bigger reason. And the same for the properties. There's got to be a reason bigger than you. And so for us, a lot of what we did was about this. We wanted to kind of create homes that people were proud of, that we were proud of, that people would want to live in, partly because of so many crappy houses that we see. And I used to help quite a number of landlords before even we had a reasonable sized portfolio. When we just had a couple of buy-to-let, I was a bit admin-y, a bit geeky, like the spreadsheet. And so some of our friends who were landlords were like, look after that for us, can you manage this, can you sort this out? And I was like, I was embarrassed by their houses and especially some of the students' HMOs. And I was like, I wouldn't put my dog in these houses. And that was one of the things for us. It was like, do you know what? When we do a refurb, would I live in this house? And it's got to be that quality. So it's not, you know, I mean, the electricians just sent me a quote through for chrome sockets and switches this week. And like a normal investor would be thinking, well, that's £350 that you didn't need to spend. Whereas I'm like, yeah, but you know what? It's making a beautiful house. I know tenants appreciate these.
That could be the difference. That could be that 1% difference.
Exactly. And also, I'm targeting tenants that I want. Same as the targeting the right thing. I'm not just putting it on the market and hoping that a tenant will be good enough to come and pay me rent. I want to create a product where the tenants are literally lined up saying, well, am I at the front of the queue? Can I have this house, please?
Yeah.
And that reason has got to be bigger than cash. And actually, weirdly, the cash kind of just follows anyway, because you're trying to do something more important. You know,
do you know what? That's just sprung something in my mind. I remember doing or watching some kind of, it probably was on like some course I bought, where somebody was saying that if you really actually want to get the customer or the client that you want, don't sell them something they need, sell them something they want. Because that is the emotional impulse there is much, much higher. And you've just nailed that. And I've never really saw that from a property perspective before until you just said that, which is that actually what you're doing is, because ultimately we will need to live somewhere. That's like a prerequisite, right? But we have the choice, a lot of us, as to where we live. And so actually, if you're creating a product, which is what a property is at the end of the day, that is more desirable. You know, if you're creating an iPhone rather than a Nokia 3310, you know, we both, you know, I just said that. I think that might have been my first ever phone, actually. Playing Snake on the bus. Yeah, you can't, I think you can actually. I think my wife's got it. Yeah. Although she's just moved from iPhone to Samsung, so me and her aren't talking at the moment. but the case is the point is, sorry, that that actually, if you're creating something that's desirable, you will ultimately get more of the types of people that you want working with you. And I suppose it goes the same for the Inside Liverpool business, is that you're creating something that is actually the people that are going to respond to that are the people that you want to work with. And that creates a better working environment for you.
Yeah, because I think even from the letting agency, we were really clear. So we set up the letting, well, we tried to set up the letting agency about 2 years ago, and it didn't quite come out, partly because we didn't really have the right kind of support staff to help us with that. And it wasn't really the right time for us. We weren't committed to kind of looking down all the legislation and the regulation and stuff was kind of overwhelming at the time, and there was so much change going on, and we left it. And we set it up at the end of last year. I did it in partnership with Adam and Patrick, who I'm sure you already know. And the core conversations that we had when we were looking to set this up, I said, I'm not creating a letting agency because I want to be a letting agent. I'm not setting this up because I want to make, I don't even know how much letting agents make, but what's a really good salary for letting agents? I don't need another full-time job. I said, if anything, I want it to be to support the investors that we already help. And to that end, because we're not looking at it as this multi-million-pound letting agency that's going to have 47,000 branches, it's much more about us being able to choose the landlords, because I don't want to work with dickheads. I don't want to work with people who are going to make my life harder than it needs to be. And actually, you'll get again, they self-select away because they come to us and you can spot it a mile off. They say like, how much is your services? And I'm like, whoa, red flag straight away.
Yeah.
And I say, I think you mean, what value can we bring to the table? And we have that talk. And often it's a case of me saying, I don't think we're a good fit. I don't think this is for you. And they get a little bit like offended. And a guy messaged me about a HMO he had, and he messaged me and was like, you'd be perfect for this. You've got the skill and the knowledge and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. I said, I'll come out and look at the house. And he sent me some videos. It looked quite good. And most HMOs are pretty shoddy, to be fair. And he seemed to have produced this really good product, and it was in a fantastic area that most people wouldn't have assumed a HMO would work there, and I knew it was work. And he says, how much? And I told him how much it was, and it's 12.5% plus VAT. And he came straight back and went, ha ha ha, do you get a deal at 10%? And I was like, and my message back was, you came to me. Do you remember that you started this conversation? And so to that end, I'm not going to negotiate on those things, because I know enough about you as a person and whether we want you, because you're going to be in that 20% that cause no end of fuss. You know, you're going to be on the phone 24/7 and moaning and complaining. And actually, through the way that we've created this kind of ecosystem of businesses, we're just dealing with people that we really like. It's kind of like hanging out with your friends but getting paid, which is a lovely place to be. And hopefully, you know, they stay with us for a long time. Like some of our investors we've known now for, I mean, what are we in 2020? So we set up the deal source in 2016. So some of them are still with us 4 years later and still buying houses. And like, what more can you possibly want from that kind of business?
Well, that all goes back to what you were saying before about if you are bringing people on and you have a real need to want to make them succeed, the sort of side effect of that is that they'll continue. Because if they source one property from you and it's an absolute dud, guess what? They ain't going to do it again, are they? So, but if
you're probably going to tell everyone as
well. Exactly. But even if you're just looking at that one individual, if you source them one and it works really well, they're just going to go, well, let's just do this again. And let's do it again and again and again, because because you've had that conversation. And I know I speak to my clients about their long-term goals and what kind of net incomes and why they want them and all that kind of stuff. I probably annoy quite a lot of my clients actually by getting too in detail with this stuff. But you've got someone that's come to you, right, I've got a goal. It's always 10 grand net a month. Everyone seems to want 10 grand net a month. It solves everyone's problems, doesn't it? But you say, okay,
until you hit it.
Until you hit it, yeah. And then you're like, hang on a second, this isn't getting me anything. But then you go, right, okay, well, they've done one. So you know that they'll actually probably need 17 to get to 10 grand. I've just made that up. But you know that. And then you're thinking, well, I'm going to help them get there. And you've benefited from that along the way. And now they're benefiting from it. And
it's efficient on both sides, because anyone that used to come to us in the early days and be like, I'm chasing whatever 25% return on investment and things like that, I was always like, we were so keen to build that investor list. We were like, we'd agree to loads of things, and now we know what we can achieve and we're very clear on that. So an 8% yield in Liverpool is like pretty easy to just get a house from Rightmove. Used to be 10%, we've got some 13%, but obviously the market's changing. As soon as anyone starts saying, well, you know, the last house I had was, I don't know, 30% ROI, I just say to them, so can you go back to that last person who got you that then? Because I'm probably not the person to help you. And we're very upfront with that kind of message. So we do, I suppose, putting that clear message out there brings the right clients to us, which means that we can help them, they can help us. And there's no confusion over this. I'm not promising the world. I'm not promising the moon on a stick, is what we used to say. I can't promise you the moon on a stick because it doesn't exist. And if you think it exists, go away for 12 months, try and find it, and then come back in 12 months and we'll have another chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, I say a similar thing to my clients as well, which is just that I can show you what is possible. And I will help you achieve what is possible. But if you want to try someone else out that's telling you that they can achieve more, great. And if you end up staying with them regardless, fantastic. But a lot of my clients are pretty realistic people, and I'm quite lucky with that. So I totally get that. But look, I just wanted to sort of, I suppose, wrap things up by asking you to sort of share with us a little bit about more about Inside Liverpool, and I guess what you've got coming up over the next few weeks and months that people could maybe get involved with, and how they might be able to get in touch with you to talk a little bit more about anything that we've discussed, or talk to you more about how they can learn from you.
So basically we built the business on social media, so we're on all the platforms, although I'm not on TikTok, I'll be honest, I'm not on TikTok.
I'll get you on there.
Doing some crazy dance moves. But basically, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, we're on all of those. We've got quite a lot of Facebook groups and things as well. Some of them are paid for, some of them are free groups. So we always try and encourage people to come in the free one to have a little chat. And obviously our YouTube channel as well is really important for us because we're always putting content out. What's coming up in the next couple of weeks, unfortunately, so we normally do a masterclass, which is like a 7-day face-to-face event. The government, unfortunately, has said that it's probably best if we all stay home. So we've done some webinars which is probably the first and might be the only time that we do them. I don't know, because I do like the face-to-face interaction. So we've got one tonight, which is 7th of April, and if you've already missed that one, then the next one's on the 22nd of April. And the 22nd of April one is all about HMOs, the 7th of April is about single buy-to-lets. And then we've also got our masterminds, which is basically a paid-for group where we all just kind of hang out in Facebook in a secret group, and it's £99 a month, but the benefit is that we're kind of a safety net for people, so they can go off and they can look on Rightmove and they can find houses that they like, and they can just ask loads of questions to us about areas and tenant types and whether it'll work for their strategy and stuff. And it's kind of like a members club. So we do put content out every day, but it's much more about being able to ask those questions as and when they need to. So we had a couple of the guys very brave, bought stuff in the auctions last week without even viewing. And they've basically just sent us the stuff that they've bought, and they've just outlined what they want to achieve, and we're talking to them now about how best to go about kind of doing that from afar now, distant, through project management and different contractors that are still working at the moment. And it's just a support network. We obviously connect people with our builders and our solicitors and all those important people that make everything tick. And yeah, it's about just staying in touch with us, really. If you're not sure about what we do already, then please come and find us on Facebook and YouTube is the best place to start. And I'll have you all talking Scouse. If you stick around for 3 months, you'll be talking with the Scouse twang. We'll teach you how to take chicken with a noise.
I'll make sure to link everything that you just said into the notes below, so that people can click on those and find you, and obviously inside Liverpool as well. But Vicky, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy afternoon, because I know your mornings are free, but your afternoons are busy. Because my
morning was spent in a paddling pool.
I'm not even gonna comment on that because I'm stuck in a hot hoodie in a hot loft because I got a hole in my t-shirt, as we discussed. So Vicky, thanks ever so much again for coming on, and maybe we'll get you back on at some point in the future to give us a bit more insight inside Liverpool and the market up there.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much, Sam. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.